Today, I'm going to be cleaning our bottom loading Avalon water cooler. The things that I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using some Lysol wipes to wipe down the outside of it before I open it up. I'm going to be using a Phillips head screwdriver to take a couple of screws off the back so that I can get the lid off. And you can use the official Avalon water cooler cleaner, or you can make your own with a mixture of 50-50 distilled white vinegar and water. There might be a slight vinegar taste to it, but that's the nice thing about using vinegar in comparison to a chemical, is you know the vinegar won't hurt you. So if you can still taste it, then get the measuring cup back out and then do another 4 cups of water through here. And then last but not least, I'm gonna need a bucket, because you're gonna rinse it and drain it. You're gonna have something for it to run into, so I got a bucket here. They say you should clean your water cooler every 6 months. So we're gonna go ahead and open it up and look at it and see what it looks like inside. But first we're gonna wipe it down real good to keep it all sanitary. It looks like it got a little dusty up here, so we'll go ahead and get all that dust off of there. A little grimy here too, people pushing buttons, and you don't notice all that stuff until you get a bright light on it. I'm gonna take the water bottle out so it'll be a little bit easier to move. Plus we don't want to get any chemicals or anything in this nice fresh bottle of water. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off. That's one of the first things the directions say, is to make sure you turn everything off. So here's all your power buttons. You want to turn all these off. That's the on position there. For the night light, off. For the cold, off. And for the hot, off. So I got everything turned off. Just to make sure I'm doing this right, I'm going to go ahead and unplug it. And then we got these 2 screws right here. You can see these 2 screws here are attached to the top, and that's what we're going to be taking off, is the top. So I just lift it up, and then I'm going to pull back. It's got these nibs here, and so they're just stuck in here to each of these trays here. There's some wires in here. I don't think we need to worry about that if you just set that aside. That's the controls to your on and off and everything. If you're having trouble moving these, you can take your screwdriver and just put a little bit of pressure on it, and then it'll clear it. So when I opened this thing up, it started gurgling, and I thought everything was turned off, but it says in the directions to unplug it. So make sure you unplug it first. As soon as I unplugged it, then the gurgling stopped. So step number 1, whenever you're working on anything, remember to unplug it. That's the safest thing to do, and then you won't have any problems. All right, so now we want to drain the water that's in here. We want to drain that water out, and the drain plug is down here. There's a little screw here at the drain plug. You want to unscrew that. And I'm going to put this pitcher right here. There's one more thing I'm adding also as a pitcher, and that way we can unplug this. You see how that water shoots out. And then I got a bucket underneath here for when it gets to be too much. Be careful, this water could be hot. No, this water feels pretty cold, so I guess we're okay. But it did feel hot on the bottom, so I think maybe the hot water came out first. But this is still good water. We could drink it, or we can use it to make our cleaning solution. Slowed down and it's just dribbling. We'll see if we can get a little more out. Tilt it back there. For our cleaning mixture, it says to mix it up in 0.6 gallons of water. So to do the calculation, 0.6 gallons is approximately 9 cups of water. So I got this Purex here with 4 cups. So we're going to do 4 cups of water, and then 4 cups of distilled vinegar, and then a half a cup of distilled vinegar and a half a cup of water, just because that's the size of our Pyrex. It just goes up to 4 cups. So we got to our 2 cups there. Okay, and we topped it off with vinegar. So here's what it looks inside. It's pretty clean. I don't see any residue or anything built up in there. It looks pretty nice. But we're going to go ahead and pour our cleaning solution in there anyways. I didn't disconnect any of this stuff. Just try and be careful. You can lift this up a little bit and you can see there's a nib there that goes back in there. So you got the float there that goes to the side and this nib goes in there. We're going to go ahead and do another 2 cups of water and another 2 cups of white vinegar. So we're going to the 2 cup marks, which is that line right there. Then we'll top it off with the water. I don't think it matters which one you put in first. It might mix up a little better if you put in the vinegar first. And then when you're doing this, just be careful. Lift it up careful. Try not to, disconnect anything. Try not to spill it all over the place either. So pour it in real slow. Don't want to make a mess like I did, so pour a little slower. All right, now we just want to do 1 cup of vinegar and 1 cup of water. And that'll make our 0.6 gallons, which is just a little more than a half a gallon. All right, now we'll see if I can pour a little slower this time and not make a mess. Okay, it says we're going to want to plug it in, so I'm going to turn the power strip off. Plug it in. Turn our power strip back on. I'll close this back up. There. And then it says to turn these on. Or to turn not the light, to turn the hot on. I don't know if we turn the cold on too or not. Let's double check that. Okay, I checked the directions and it said just turn the hot on, don't turn the cold on. So I noticed when I turn the cold on, you hear that pump? You don't want that on, just turn the hot on. And then we set a 15-minute timer, and then after that we'll drain it. It also said in the directions to make sure that the hot and cold water are running. So we'll make sure we can run water here. There's the cold. There's the hot. So it looks like they're both running. While we got the timer going, we'll clean this off. This thing looks pretty nasty in here. I can see some stuff floating around in there. So we'll go ahead and I'll go rinse this off, and then after 15 minutes, we'll go ahead and come back and work on the next step in the directions. This thing was pretty nasty, but to clean it, you just take the top off like that, and then I just rinsed it out in the sink and got all that crud out of there. And then to put it back in, you just push it back in like that, and it's in. And then to pull, it's pressure in there, so you've got to just pull it out. But yeah, you should clean that regularly. And it looks like there's some dust here, some areas I didn't quite wipe down. So we'll go ahead and take our Lysol wipes, and I'll wipe the rest of this down while I'm waiting for the timer to go off. A lot of times I don't notice this stuff from my height, but when you get down here and look at it, you can see it's all dusty and dirty. All right, it's been 15 minutes. Now turn it off. Oh, wrong way. That's the cold. I keep messing that up. So turn the hot off. And we'll let it cool down for 20 minutes. Just to make sure I'm doing this right, I'm going to go ahead and unplug it. And we'll wait 20 minutes for it to cool down. and then we'll drain it right there. Okay, it's been 20 minutes, so this should be cool enough to drain. I'm not sure if it'll drain without loosening up that lid. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Oh, there it goes. It does look like it's draining, and it's kind of hot, so be careful here. You see the steam coming up there? So yeah, we waited 20 minutes for it to cool. It's not super hot, but it does feel warm. Now it's starting to cool off. It's just that first little bit that comes out is going to be really hot. One thing you can do with this water vinegar mixture is you can pour it on your weeds too, rather than just throwing it away. It's still pretty potent, so you could just pour it on some weeds in your yard and it'll kill the weeds. You could also dump it down the drain. It'll help clean your pipes too. But you can see that steam coming out of there. Oh, it's really hot now. Yeah, that last little bit's pretty hot. All right, we'll go ahead and tip it back to get everything out. Now it says we want to rinse it 3 times in the directions. It says we want to rinse it 3 times. So we're going to put fresh water in here, 0.6 of a gallon, which is basically 9 cups. So, 8 or 9 cups is pretty good. The biggest I got here is a 4 cup, so we just got to do 2 of these. We're still unplugged here, so I'm going to go ahead and open this up and pour the water in. Remember, pour this water in real slow so you don't make a mess. And I'm using filtered water. I got it from our local water and ice store. And then do 1 more cup here. Remember, there's 3 of these here. You want to put the middle one in the middle. I'd reattach this so that it doesn't make a mess when you drain it. Ah, making a mess. Still smell a little bit of the vinegar smell. But yeah, there's still water in here that didn't come out. All right, we'll go ahead and dump this, and then we'll put some more water in there and keep rinsing. I'm not sure what happened there. Remember, go slow or you'll make a mess. So this is our second time doing this. I'm just going to go ahead and leave that lid open this time. I'm not going to close it. All right, 1 more time and then we'll be done. The nice thing about using the vinegar to clean it is vinegar's not bad for you. You can actually drink white vinegar, it won't hurt you. But it does stink a little bit. All right, our last little part here, 1 more cup. Pour the rest in there. All right, we'll drain this and then we'll put it all back together. I think We'll just go ahead while we're up here. We'll close this up. That up on there. But yeah, having an extra bucket and a pitcher, that really helps. You can see there's water inside the bucket there. Yeah, I don't really smell anything in this last one. I don't smell the vinegar. Yeah, I can't really smell it. A little bit of a vinegar smell, but I think that was in the bucket. So we'll go ahead and turn this thing around, put a water cooler in there, and turn it on. Oh yeah. A little bit of water squirted out of here when I plugged it back in. Always make sure your door's open when there's not a water jug in here. It'll make a mess. It'll suck in air. It could suck in air and damage the pump. Alright, we'll turn everything on back here. There's the night light. All the pumps are on. Alright, I'm going to run a little bit of water through here. It doesn't say to do this in the directions, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways. I'm going to run a couple cups of water in here. This one's cold. It's filling, so nothing's coming out of there. Same with the hot. So we'll wait till it's done. You hear it filling in there? One other thing we could have done is we could have filled that tank up while we had it opened, and then we would have been ready to go. But instead, we just had to pump some water in from here up into the tank. All right, now we'll see if it's working. Give it a good smell. See if we can smell any vinegar. We'll do a taste test. That tastes like vinegar. Maybe it's the container's dirty. A little bit of vinegar. We'll go with a clean jug here. If this tastes like vinegar, then I'm going to go ahead and run a few cups of water through here and dump it. That's not as bad. This tastes like vinegar because there's vinegar in the jar, but I'm going to go ahead, just to be safe, I'm going to run a couple cups of water through here. I'm going to run 4 cups of water through here and clean it out. Could be I just had a vinegar taste in my mouth. So if you taste test it, don't use the jar that you mixed in, because I put half vinegar in here and half water, so this still had a vinegar taint to it. All right, I'm going to dump this. I'm going to do the same thing with the hot water. This is optional. It doesn't say to do this in the directions. It just makes sense to me to kind of clean it out. You want to also make sure you run it through the cold. We got the hot, the cool, and the cold right there. So let's run a couple, let's run a gallon through the cold too. Which, 4 cups, 8 cups. Yeah, 8 cups is a half a gallon. So we'll run 8 cups through here. All right, we'll go ahead and try a cup of water here. Doesn't smell like anything. Can't quite tell. There might be a slight vinegar taste to it, but that's the nice thing about using vinegar in comparison to a chemical, is you know the vinegar won't hurt you. Yeah, there's a slight vinegar taste. So if you can still taste it, then get the measuring cup back out and then do another 4 cups of water through here, and then you should be good to go. But it's up to you if you don't mind a little bit of vinegar. But we should be good. We rinsed the back out 3 times like the direction said, and then we did an extra rinse in the front 3 times, so we should be good. We'll go ahead and let this heat up, and maybe I'll have some tea or something and see how it tastes. Same with the cold, we'll just wait for it to cool off. But yeah, I think we're fine. All in all, I can't really quite tell. Like I said, it's not really ice cold, which is what I prefer. So I don't know if I'm just tasting. Filtered water doesn't have a very good taste at room temperature, but it tastes really good when it's cold. All right, well, there you have it. That's how you clean your Avalon bottom loading water cooler. Let me know in the comments if you use the vinegar recipe, if you have a different recipe for it, or if you use the recommended cleaning recipe that Avalon sells.